Congressman Massie, thank you so much for tuning in with us today on Back to the People podcast. I've been a huge fan of yours, what you represent, how you go about it, how you conduct yourself, your history. And I just also wanted to tell you that, when your wife passed, I wanted to reach out and send a note. I hadn't met you yet, but that had massive impact on millions of Americans. And we're all with you as you go through this difficult time. And I followed your story and how you both met. And, we don't have to get too deep into it, but I just wanted to say that her legacy and her memory and she is so honored in this country.
That means a lot to me. I would tell you, so we're, about 8 weeks away from her passing, and it's actually gotten harder for me. Because I didn't realize I was in shock, and then that's worn off. But it's a tribute that so many people were concerned and cared about her. My superpower was I was telepathically connected to a genius who knew more about me than me and was able to consume so much information that I needed to know. We had a deal. I took a vow of illiteracy and she read all the books and told me what was in them, with sort of like a JPEG compression because we could, talk in shorthand almost. And so it really was a big loss to me. And, the stuff that we're talking about today, I'll probably say we a lot. We talk about being independent, but, humans aren't meant to be alone and to do things like to be off the grid or even to get into politics without losing your soul. You have to have another person that's watching out for your soul.
I hear that loud and clear. She comes across as such a genius, and you guys went to MIT together. And I know that there's no substitute for that, but we just all want you to know that if you ever need anything we're here for you. And I hear what you say because I couldn't do what I'm doing right now without my partner, Jacob.
Yeah.
And he is the other half of my brain. And he is the one that calls bullshit before even I can call bullshit. And it is really the only way to do politics with soul is to have that kind of partnership at home. And then to raise kids together too, and to talk about what's going on with them. And I think are you a grandfather now
Yes,
too?
I am. I'm not allowed to disclose too much about my grandson.
Sure.
I did a Christmas picture once with a bunch of machine guns that got my whole family kind of involved for better or worse. And so the grandson doesn't go in the pictures, not yet. He has free choice later on. But, back to the spouse thing, when, I'm not that good at picking out before they're elected who will sell their soul and who will not. But I have noticed a pattern, and that is if the spouse is involved with the candidate's activities, there's a much better chance that they will not sell out because that's the person they don't want to let down.
Yep.
And if that person is like-minded and engaged, then I've noticed a pattern. And then also when somebody gets elected, I ask, like Rhonda and myself, for instance, we would try to meet with the candidate and the spouse, and make it sort of a double date. And the spouse needs to know what the candidate is going to end up, the situations they'll be in. And one other quick thing, what's behind me is the farm that I live on, but this is the farm that Rhonda grew up on. This is her family farm. And I showed up here right behind me for our first date to pick her up. And she was driving a tractor with a hay bale on the back. Now, that was our first official date. I had been to this farm before that to help her with her science fair project.
Oh.
She was building an yttrium barium cupric oxide superconductor on this
Oh,
farm.
hell yes.
Yeah. And I don't know anything about chemistry, but I was like the champion science fair winner for the county, and I build robots, right? So it was like totally plausible that I had a legitimate purpose to come see her, even though I had no idea how to help her with her project. I didn't know enough about chemistry to be dangerous, other than how to make fireworks and, pyrotechnics.
Yeah.
I
She
didn't
was
know.
doing quantum. She was doing
Yes.
quantum mechanics and quantum
Yes.
chemistry.
Yes, she was doing quantum chemistry, and I was just blowing stuff up with potassium nitrate. I knew potassium nitrate and carbon. Yeah, I knew how to mix those things, but I didn't know how to mix yttrium and barium and copper and oxides.
Wow. Wow. That's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, what a beautiful memory. And you're back at it. You've come back to work in Congress. I want people to understand how hard it is to do what you do every day. You are showing up at a time when America needs you so much, and at a time that I can't imagine how hard it is for you to show up every day. And what you are doing in how you've broken the duopoly, you have called out the collusion, you have stayed true to what is right and what is the shining northern light for this country.